Marianne, thank you so much for being back here. Thank you for joining Global Woman again. I mean, you've been such a great supporter of Global Women. Today, you were on the conscious, oh my gosh, what was it? Conscious
Capitalism.
You were on the conscious. So I'll start again. Today you were on the Conscious Capitalism panel, but you also had a very special message just before. I would love for you to share a little bit of that message to those that couldn't be in the room today.
Thank you so much. I wanted to have this picture because this is a picture of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, and I don't know if you can see his picture here. But this man was shot down in the United States by ICE, for essentially being the same race that I am. And if you're my race, you are Native American but born in Mexico. So when they say Hispanic or Latino, it just means that was the language the conquistadors spoke. But we are Indigenous Americans, and right now we're being rounded up, and all it takes is being our race, and that's enough to be thrown into an ICE concentration camp. And what I wanted to do today was to basically say his name, and I know that saying his name on stage is enough for ICE to basically either come and interview me or put me away. So I know it's taking a risk. But, if you are intimidated, then you disrespect all the generations before us. And I'm here today because I had an incredible family that was willing to risk that. From the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they fought the Ku Klux Klan. They had anywhere from 30 to 60 people in their front yard and the cone hats, all that stuff. And so when I look at that history, and it's the same history that within 7-Eleven that gave it, conscious capitalism, fighting to make profit sharing legal. They used to be called socialists and communists for that. But it's that same mentality that, I have to look at and say, who am I to do less?
Yeah, I love that answer. I think, when it comes from a place of you belonging, it's beyond courage. It becomes a calling, and thank you so much for having the courage and speaking to your calling into your gut and talking, saying the name, because I think saying the name is enough. What does conscious capitalism mean to you?
Conscious capitalism for me means that when you're operating your business with an ethical awareness of your impact on society and the environment. Now, social responsible investing is when you're choosing to put your money into conscious capitalism versus basically Victor Lebow finance. What they used to do was what was good for the shareholder, that was Victor Lebow mentality. But conscious capitalism says people, planet, profit. Let me take responsibility for my impact, because I'm going to be impacting whether I take responsibility or not. So why not actually do it proactively?
And would you say that the world is leaning much more towards conscious capitalism now? And when do you think that change started to happen?
It definitely started. I'm 49 now, and I started the very first social responsible investment conference in the state of Texas. And when I did that, people were like, what are you talking about? Now, every single bank that I've gone to, they have an SRI department, because during the time from my generation on past, people will not invest. They will say, okay, what is your impact on the planet? What's your impact on people? If you haven't considered that, we're not putting our money there. I was able to lead and be part of a group that led a huge divestment from companies that basically they went in, and you had people with Carnegie, Sod, you had all these big names, Rockefeller, and they went in and said, maybe I'm 20-something now, maybe I'm 30-something now, but one day I'll be in control and I will take every penny out of your bank unless you start operating with an understanding and responsibility toward people and the planet. So this is the direction it's going. I think it's sadly not going fast enough, because right now we're having so many challenges. But the exciting part of it is that when you do take, as I was saying, marching the streets to Wall Street, when you do use business, your impact is magnified, and we can change the world much faster than politics can sometimes.
And I mean, my hat's off to that. I just want to say, you have had all of these kind of big movements, big changes in the world, and you never stop, right? I can see you campaigning all the time for injustices, campaigning for things like conscious capitalism. How does Marianne rest, recoup, regenerate that mind, get some space to be able to keep doing the amazing work that you're doing?
Sometimes it's exhausting, but other times, there are two things. One, the person that's in an ICE camp right now, doesn't get to rest. They're packed in so tightly that they can't sit down. You know, if they don't get fresh water, they're made to drink water out of a commode. They're denied medical care. This is the kind of stuff that's happening. It really is a concentration camp. So, you know, right now that is going on. So sometimes when I get exhausted, I think about that. On the other hand, because yes, I'm a human being, I have seizures and migraines and things if I let myself be depleted. So I have to take that into consideration. For me, a lot of what I end up doing, I like, you know, hiking, I like doing all those kinds of things that kind of center me. But I'm also a creative person. I put it into books, and I spend time with people that I resonate with. You know, I think that a lot of times that's one thing that people let go of these days. We think that we're getting interaction through our social media. We're not. You know, our bodies actually are biologically designed to notice when we're around pheromones. So in the past, if you were a complete introvert, you would still go out to get your groceries or to buy your book. Now you can have it all sent to you, on your step, and you don't have to leave your home. The sad thing about that is that people aren't exposing themselves to the way we're biologically designed to prevent being depressed. So it's important for people right now to make time with friends. You know, and people say, I don't have time. Well, you're going to eat. Choose your lunch, choose your dinner. Do you get a coffee? Make sure you do something with other people because you biologically need that.
I mean, connection and energy is what this thing is all about. So it's such a lovely way for you to kind of round up what we're talking about today. So energy and energy in the room. Can you talk to us about Global Women, the energy in the room, maybe about Morella?
Of course, absolutely. I can never say enough good things about Morella. I've been invited to speak all over the world, multiple conferences, and while they all have their value, the thing that really makes Morella outstanding is that she actually, I don't know how she does it, she remembers everybody. So once she remembers you, she keeps it in mind what your hopes, dreams, aspirations, and what the things you need to be connected to. And I've seen her 6 months later, a year later, say, I know the person you need to meet. And she links two women, and then a year later, that's been the thing that's made the difference in somebody's life. So she is really walking her talk and trying to help people lift themselves up and also teach people to have that same mindset. So Global Woman really is about a global community. And as I said in my speech before, you know, the Old Boy Network, they would pass on an opportunity to somebody else if they weren't going to be able to use it. A lot of times women think there's only room for one of us at the top. And so they're like, oh, I can't share. But when you share it, you encourage your entire network to get more powerful. And when your network gets more powerful, you get more powerful.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's a great way to end. I think the energy in the room and Morella's energy and what she's created is phenomenal. It is unique. Thank you for being part of that. Thank you for gracing our stage. Forever my inspiration. Marianne,
thank you. Thank you.